everyone, and welcome to our February Discover Day here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. We are so glad that you have decided to join us today, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you're joining from. If it's snowing outside for you or it's sunny outside for you, we are so glad that you're here, and so thankful and thank you for joining us for our virtual stream. My name is Tiara DeConing, and I'm a student recruitment officer here at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. I'm also a proud alum of this university. It's where I went for my undergraduate degree, and it's now where I work, so I love the campus. It's always really exciting and rewarding to see that interest and that engagement. So thank you again for coming. Joining me today and co-hosting our live stream is our amazing tour guide, Sierra. So I'm going to kick it over to her to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to give you this virtual campus tour today. As Sierra said, my name is Sierra, and I hope you learn a lot about the campus and enjoy the presentation.
Awesome. Thanks, Sierra. Yeah, Tiara, Sierra, clearly like a dynamic duo. It's going to be the best live ever, so we're really excited. Of course, our chat moderator, Mina, is also behind the scenes, but will be supporting us in the chat. So feel free to let us know, introduce yourself, let us know where you're joining from, maybe a program that you're interested in studying or hope to study at UTM. Lots of really cool stuff in the chat, so feel free to use that during my presentation, Sierra's, and we will also have a Q&A section at the end. Now, if this is your first Discover Day, the plan from here on out is pretty straightforward. I will talk a little bit about UTM, at a high level, how it functions within the tri-campus structure at the University of Toronto and why it is the right choice for you. Then I will kick it to Sierra, who will actually take us on a deep dive of the campus, taking us all over, looking at all the buildings, giving her perspective as a student here. And then we'll also have some time to tackle questions in the chat. Obviously, we won't get to all of them, but of course, there are additional resources which I will make sure to share at the end should you have questions or concerns that are a bit more detailed in nature and require some follow-up. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to say goodbye to Sierra for now. She'll be joining us in a little bit. So thanks, Sierra. We'll see you soon. All right, let's get started with my presentation. And I'm going to add that to the stage. And yeah, we'll get started. So, of course, we want to start off by acknowledging the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, this has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous communities and people groups from across Turtle Island, and we are so grateful for the opportunity we have to work, to live, to study on this land. Now, as many of you know, the University of Toronto is considered one university, but with 3 distinct campuses, and as a result, endless possibilities. What this means for you is that regardless of where you choose to study, right, which campus or which learning environment you choose to study, you are making the right choice, right? Because you are getting a degree from the country's best and biggest institution, a place that offers that same high quality education, regardless of which campus you attend and engage with. So since it's being founded in 1827, U of T has evolved into a large and complex institution, occupying 3 distinct campuses in the Greater Toronto area. For this purpose and for today's presentation, we will be looking at UTM, or the University of Toronto, Mississauga, which is about a 45-minute drive west of downtown Toronto. All right, now, UTM by the numbers. Here's a quick overview of UTM in terms of how its demographic is divided in terms of academics, students, and some other cool facts about alumni and etc. So when it comes to academics, UTM students or applicants to UTM can apply or select from 12 distinct different admission categories with over 90 different areas of study and over 180 different programs. For instance, our campus here at UTM is home to Canada's premier forensic science program. It has really cool, impressive commerce and management programs that offer a cross-disciplinary perspective on media, digital technology, social implications, and a really cool theater and drama program that provides all its students expert insight into practical training, as well as theory and literature, just to name a few. And there's tons more related to your academics. That same level of variety and diversity is also seen in UTM's student communities and alumni networks. So our community is home to more than 16,000 or 15,000 undergraduate students and 900 graduate students hailing from all across Ontario, all across Canada, and you guessed it, all across the world, 130 countries to be precise. And so as you graduate, whether you stay in Canada or you expand into borders worldwide, you continue to grow, you continue to make those connections, and you're bound to find someone who has a connection to U of T. And you can take your degree and your studies anywhere in the world and connect with that wonderful network of alumni across several different industries, which is a real asset when you come to a place like UTM. All right. Now, why specifically UTM, right? Like, why the Mississauga campus? There's tons of reasons. And certainly because of its variety in student demographics, programs, all that good stuff, those reasons will differ for each of you. It certainly was a variety of different choices for me and reasons for me. But I would narrow it down to these 7. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about that. First and foremost, the research advantage, right? So UTM is recognized as one of the top universities, if not the top university in Canada for research-based startups, providing students with the opportunity to engage in groundbreaking research alongside world-class faculty as early as their second year, right? So you're able to leave the classroom, take all that knowledge and actually apply it in a research setting and find some really rewarding outcomes from that. This innovation has also helped UTM be among the top 5 university-managed business incubators globally. And certainly U of T is the #1 university for alumni employability. So really, once you have studied and graduate, the journey is just beginning, and the possibilities continue to be as incredible as your studies here. The second reason being location, right? So Mississauga is the second largest city in the Greater Toronto Area. It is, of course, beautiful, but being at UTM also benefits you because you're in proximity to international airports, major businesses and corporations, healthcare facilities, cultural landmarks, and so you can enjoy that easy access and lots of community within the city of Mississauga. The second one being the natural choice, right? So the campus itself is known for its beautiful connection to nature. It is, I guess, landed, or it's situated on 200 acres of beautiful protected green space, and that really speaks to even how we manage and maintain the buildings around us. We want to be environmentally focused, and U of T is the most sustainable campus, environmentally speaking, worldwide right now in the world. So that's an incredible feat, and we ensure to represent that here at UTM. The fourth one, I think we're now on the fourth one, is community, right? So we talk a lot about community being a pivotal part about what makes university so great. And at UTM, it really fosters that student-centered community. It provides a range of resources designed to help students excel academically and personally, right? From financial support to scholarships and awards, to living learning communities, to student engagement clubs, research opportunities. the list goes on, right? Healthcare supports, sports, all of that's good stuff. So it's all here, and it helps build that community and connection inside and outside of the classroom. And then moving on to industry and innovation, right? So as I mentioned earlier, the University of Toronto is the #1 university on the continent for research-based startups. And again, it's ranked first in North America and 11th in the world for global alumni employability. So again, we have that level of industry, that robust innovation that really lends itself well to success academically, and then in your vocation in the years to come. Last but certainly not least is the global impact that UTM has. UTM's global perspectives is reflected everywhere, right? Not just in our diverse student body, but in our international partnerships. We have an expansive alumni network, as I mentioned earlier, and so that campus culture really emphasizes collaboration, care, and that strong connection. And so, yeah, overall, UTM is a very, very special place to be. And certainly I'm slightly biased, but I hope that you feel the same way, certainly, as you explore more of our campus and for the rest of our stream. Now, I could go on and on about UTM, but I have a feeling that many of you would rather hear it from a student. I think I would, certainly. So with that said, I am going to end my presentation and call Sierra back on the screen. So welcome back, Sierra. And I'm going to add her presentation and let her take it away and say goodbye to everyone for now. I will be back post-tour. Thanks, Sierra. Over to you.
Thank you, Tiara. So hi again, everyone. Nice to see everyone here. So I'm just going to start off with my tour. So just a little bit about me. As I mentioned, my name is Sierra, and I'm a second-year student studying forensic science, specifically forensic anthropology. So if anybody's interested in that, you could always ask me questions at the end. I'm also an executive member of the Caribbean Connections Club at UTM because I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. And additionally, I do work in the Office of Student Recruitment and Admissions. So I'm a work study student, which means that I'm able to work alongside doing my classes. So it's pretty flexible. And what I basically do in this job is I would answer emails, calls, do on campus events, and campus tours like this one. And just some other like fun facts about me based on the pictures. I love traveling. I love seeing new places. I love reading anything related to law and forensics, as well as I did play the piano for 7 years. So I'm really, really interested in music as well. So as I said before, if you guys have any questions about clubs, on-campus jobs, my experience specifically at UTM, I'm happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. So to start off, we are going to go to the Innovation Complex and the CNEF building. Okay, so as I said, our first stop on the tour is the CNEF Center and Innovation Complex. Starting off with the CNEF Center, it was originally built in 1992 and it expanded into the Innovation Center in 2014. So specifically, the CNEF Center, it has lecture halls like KN 137 and it seats about 350 students, and it's the largest lecture hall in this building. Also within this building, we have the Blackwood Gallery, and this is basically where curated exhibitions featuring the work of local, national, and international artists are displayed. And our office, which is the Office of Student Recruitment and Admissions, is also located in the CNEF building. Moving on to the Innovation Complex, in the Innovation Complex, one of the major resources that we have at UTM is the Office of the Registrar. So in this top picture on the left, you can see the desk for the Office of the Registrar. And this is basically like your main point of contact for university. So any financial or academic advice that you may need, they are who you go to. So you could kind of think of them as like your high school guidance counselor, essentially. So, for me specifically, since I am an international student, I use the services of the Office of the Registrar, especially in my first year, pretty frequently because I want to find out a lot about like scholarships and that type of stuff, like transitioning into university. So, I would definitely recommend going to them with any issues that you may have. And so, also for this building, for food, if you're like me and you need like a quick coffee fix or like a pastry really quickly in between classes, there's also a second cup in this building. And finally, just a fun fact, a TV show called The Boys was actually shot right outside the Office of the Registrar reception desk. So now we're going to head over to the Davis building, and you can actually access this building through the tunnel that you see on the right side at the top, that picture. You can go through this tunnel and you could go from the Kenneth building to the Davis building. Okay, so now we are at the William G. Davis building, and it is actually the oldest standing building and largest building that we have on campus, and it was built in 1974. So, if you do decide to use this tunnel from Kenneth into the Davis building, one of the first places that you will meet is the HCC, which is the Health and Counseling Center. So, if you look at the picture on the right top in the corner, that is what the HCC looks like. And so here we offer numerous services like medical care, mental health care, nutritional counseling, and health education. And as a student, you're able to book any medical appointments. So, for instance, if you're injured, you're feeling well, or you just feel like you're in need of a checkup, you can always go to them. You could book appointments online, or you could just go in and book an appointment. And all of these services that I just spoke about is covered by OHIP and UHIP, just depends on if you're a domestic student or an international student. And for me specifically, I use the HCC in my first year to get flu shots completely free of charge. So I would say, honestly, it is a pretty convenient service. So you don't have to go off campus if you are feeling ill or anything. So they have actual doctors and nurses on hand for any issues that you may have. So that's it for the HCC. And if you continue through the tunnel, you will actually come across the UTM bookstore. So right below the picture of the HCC, you will see the UTM bookstore. And I would say the most important resource here is textbooks specifically. So you can purchase physical textbooks from the store, or you can go onto the UTM bookstore website and access like online ebooks. And they also have a sellback program, so you could save money on textbooks as well. Additionally, in the UTM bookstore, you could get course materials like goggles, lab coats, pens, calculators, whatever it is you like, whatever it is you need for class. And we also have U of T merch. So t-shirts, hoodies, sweats, cups. And in my experience, the bookstore is the place that I would say most first year students go to in their first semester, just because U of T has a lot of collaborations with really big brands like Nike, Under Armour, and OVO, just to name a few. So, continuing with the Davis building, it is pretty big. We have the main level of the Davis building. So, we first will look at the food court area. So if you look at the picture at the top middle, that is what the food court looks like. And this is actually one of the busiest areas that we have on campus, specifically for studying and socializing. So in terms of food, we have food chains like Tim Hortons, Harvey's, and Thai Express. And we also do have some UTM homegrown dining options that are grown in a greenhouse on campus. So things like, for instance, honey and vegetables will be freshly homegrown. So if you do have dietary restrictions or you're just a picky eater like myself, there's a range of food locations all throughout campus that offer the same services. And they do support your dietary requirements, like the food being halal, gluten-free, vegan, and more. Also, in this area, right below the image of the food court, you will see the Student Services Hub. So this is where we have Accessibility Services Office, the Center for Student Engagement, the Career Center, and the International Education Center, which is also known as the IEC. So, specifically about the IEC, as an international student, I went to them just for a lot of just a lot of questions that I had within my first year. And they did help me make a lot of the friends that I have now through different events that they hosted, specifically for international students. And additionally, they helped me learn about the services that are offered to international students, like the UHIP insurance and how to use it. So onto the career center. I actually worked with a career counselor to review my resume and my cover letter, and they kind of gave me advice about how to make myself more marketable for jobs, specifically jobs on campus. And they essentially just helped me learn what jobs are available, things I should say in interviews, how to essentially navigate the job market. And finally, for the Davis building, it's not pictured here, but we do have an office of campus safety located on the third floor. So we have special constables on campus that are part of a walk safe program where you can essentially call on one of them, one of the constables, and they can escort you around campus if you're feeling unsafe. So for instance, they could wait at the bus stop with you if you need them to. And yeah, you could always call them. We have an app for it. Um, and yeah, overall for the Davis building, we have a lot of large lecture halls, and it's home to our biology, chemistry, and anthropology labs. So, next up, we're actually going to be looking at the Recreation, Athletics, and Wellness Center, which is also known as the ROC. Okay, so this is the rock, is what it looks like, and it's actually connected to the Davis building, which is really nice, especially during times like this, during winter. You don't really have to walk in the cold. At the Rock, you'll find our state of the art fitness facility where we have a variety of fitness, recreation, and sports programs. We have a 5 lane indoor swimming pool that's pictured there. We have an indoor running track. We have 3 gym courts, squash courts, weight rooms, outdoor fields, and courts for like tennis and beach volleyball. Also, the Rock offers various drop in sports sessions, which are available to all UTM students regardless of your academic ability. So, for sports like badminton, table tennis, basketball, and volleyball, you would look up the Rock schedule online, and they would tell you when each sport is being hosted and where it is in the Rock. And you could just always go. You could play. You don't have to be any good, but that's the point of drop in sports. And specifically, we also have a women's only drop in sports twice a day from Monday to Friday for anybody who's interested. So I would say for me personally, other than attending classes, this is how I would spend most of my time at UTM. I'm like a pretty active person, so I am always in the gym or using the gym facilities, or like whatever it is. So the most recent drop-in session that I actually attended was badminton. And I've never played badminton before, and it was surprisingly fun. Honestly, I did that last week. So I would definitely recommend when you do become a student, if you decide to come to UTM, I would recommend checking out the drop-in sports. And there's also a very large staircase right outside of the rock that will take you right back to the Davis main court, the main food court. So that's it for the rock. And now we're going to be going to the CCT building. Okay, so this is the Communication, Culture, and Technology building, also known as the CCT building. And it's home specifically to a University of Toronto Mississauga program, which is Communication, Culture, and Technology, that is exclusive to UTM. The other two campuses don't have it. So if you are interested in that, you should come to UTM for that program. CCT 1080 is one of our two largest lecture halls on campus, and it seats about 500 students. And if you're in first year, you're likely to have a class in this lecture hall just because of the large size of first year classes. So look at if you're looking at the pictures, on the main level of this building, you will see the IT service desk. So that's the picture on the right at the top. And so at the IT service desk, you could get help with any IT related problems, as well as pick up your T card. And your T card is your student identification card, essentially. And you would need that to, for instance, go on the shuttle bus and for final exams to check identification. And me personally, I've gone to the IT service desk on various occasions to get help with my laptop when it's been giving trouble. And the staff are always a huge help. Um, so now we're going to go over to the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center. And if you look at the picture in the middle at the bottom, that is actually one of the tunnels that you can take between the CCT building and the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center. Okay, so this is the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, and it was opened in 2007. And it consists of two things, the school library and one of the two Starbucks that we have on campus. So this center is named after a former longest running Mississauga mayor, Hazel McCallion. So specifically about the library, as a U of T student, you have access to over 40 other libraries and 16 million items. The U of T library has Canada's largest video game archive, which is called the Sid Bolton Collection. The library is one of the most popular study spots for students, where it has 4 floors, over 1,000 study spaces, 150 computer workstations, and 19 study rooms. The library also has a team of librarians and research specialists that work with students at the reference and research desk, and they help you to essentially search for, evaluate, use any materials that you would need for your assignment. So things like citations and getting sources, you could always go to them for help with that. And also, pictured, we have the circulation desk, and they are able to loan out library books from all 3 campuses. So if there is a book that is located at the St. George campus and not at the Mississauga campus, they can always ship it to the Mississauga campus for you to pick up. And they also loan out other materials for students like laptops, chargers, and calculators. And right opposite to the library, pictured in the center, we have the Starbucks, very conveniently located. And during times like during final exams, Starbucks is actually open until 12 a.m. and the library is open 24/7. So now we are right, which is right next to the Hazel McCallion Academic Learning Center, we are going to go over to the Instructional Center. So this is the Instructional Center, and it was opened in 2011. It's actually one of the busiest buildings in campus, like on campus, besides the Davis Building. And it was constructed using durable and local building materials with renewable or recycled content. So this building has both small and large scale lecture halls, study spaces, and a computer lab on the second floor. And as you can see in the middle picture here, where everybody is wearing white, these are some of my fellow club members for the Caribbean Connections Club. And we often use IB for hosting events and in-person meetings due to the large class space. This event specifically was a meet and greet with our associate club members, so we all wore white just to take team pictures, essentially. On the main floor of IB, or which is what the Instructional Center is also called, we have food options like Subway, Quesada, and Aso Sushi. And most importantly, this building is where the UTM shuttle bus drops off and picks up students who are going between the UTM campus and the St. George campus. So the shuttle bus is a free service for UTM students only, And some students can use their shuttle to, for instance, get to and from classes. If you live downtown, you could always take the shuttle to go home or just to explore downtown in general. And it's for free. All you have to do is bring your T card and scan it on the bus, and the driver will let you on. And so next, we are actually going to head over to one of the newer buildings on campus that many students call MN. So the full name of this building is Manjewe Endem Owenan, and it means gathering of the minds, and it reflects both the indigenous history of the land and the future of the campus. So it was unofficially opened in 2018, replacing the original North building in 1967. And this building is home to a variety of active learning classrooms and is also home to the departments of political science, language studies, and sociology. And we also have the Robert Gillespie Academic Skills Center on the third floor. And this is essentially a skill center, and it's a great resource for students as they offer one on one appointments, workshops, and programs for academic skills like reading, writing, and math. So, me personally, I have gone to the RGASC, as it's also called, for biology project help in my first year. So, essentially, I just had a one on one appointment and they like read over my essays, basically gave me advice on how to better tweak my work. So that's a service I would definitely recommend. And although I have many classes in this building as a second year, I mainly come to MN to use the services of the RGASC. And so after MN, we are going to transition into Deerfield Hall, which can also be accessed through yet another tunnel that is pictured right at the bottom in the center. So this is Deerfield Hall, and it was opened in 2014. And it was named after the UTM that you could often see on campus, but specifically at night is when they would come out. And this building is home to departments like theater and drama, math and computational sciences, psychology, and English. On the second floor of Deerfield Hall, we have the Math Learning Center, where students can get free math help. So if you do feel like you are struggling with math and you just need like an extra, like just need extra studying, whatever it may be, you can always go to them. And they do have like a schedule online for when each math class is having a class essentially. So this building actually also offers study spaces, classrooms, and research labs. And in my opinion, this is the best place to study on campus because it's really, really quiet. Um, the building is pretty big. It has about 5 or 6 floors. So there's always a study space open for you to use. And it is far from the center of campus or the heart of campus. So typically there aren't many people in the building at a time. And on the main floor, pictured, we have the second Starbucks on campus. And right opposite to it, we have the Northside Bistro, which has a build your own salad bar, pastries, and oven baked pizza. And finally, our last stop on the tour, we're going to be looking at the Student Center. So the Student Center was opened in the 1990s and is home to many of UTM's student clubs. So much like the club that I'm a part of, Caribbean Connections. So the UTM Students Union, which is the UTMSU, is located here and they support over 15,000 undergraduate students by advocating for student rights, providing essential services, and creating meaningful events. So if you do decide to come to UTM, they will be running some of your orientation week events alongside the Center of Student Engagement, which is typically jam packed, full of fun events. And the student union actually also hosts events throughout the academic year. So what I really like about this building is that it actually has other food options that is run by the UTMSU. So we have chat time if you like bubble tea. And we also have the on campus pub, which is called the Blind Duck. And they sell things like burgers, fries, tenders, ice cream, churros, essentially everything. And also in the UTMSU, we have pool tables if you're just looking for like a fun activity to do with friends. And so in the blind duck, if you look at the bottom right picture, that's where my club and I actually hosted one of our past events. And it was essentially just a Caribbean expo. So it was just a cultural event to show other students to learn about our history and heritage. And lastly, for the UTMSU, we have the on campus convenience store called the Duck Stop that is pictured in the center at the top. So, with that being said, that's the end of the campus tour. I just want to thank you guys for joining us today. And so, yeah, if you have any questions about on campus life, feel free to let me know and I'll try my best to answer them. So, I'll hand things back over to Tiara now.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sierra. And hello, everyone. It's great to be back. And yeah, that tour was awesome. It's very interesting because we've all been on campus, at least, Sierra and I, and I've seen a couple of these tours, but it's always so informative every time I watch because it's from your perspective, which I really love. So thank you for sharing. And thank you to everyone who has been so incredible in the chat, just sharing your thoughts, asking really relevant questions. We are now going to pivot, and also shout outs to Mina, our U of T Mississauga Future Students account, who has been helping answer some of those questions. And yes, thank you to Monica just now, who said thank you for running this. And it's our pleasure. So thank you, Monica, for your questions and for attending. Now we are going to just pivot from our presentation back into these questions. We have a couple that we've starred, and we'd love to kind of take it up as a group, kind of get Sierra's insight as well from her student perspective. So we'll just get started, and again, continue to put some of these questions in the chat for us, folks, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, so Monica Day asks, can we talk about breadth requirements and kind of breadth requirements, how they work? Absolutely, that's a really good question, Monica. So thank you for the question. I can share certainly from a more like academic degree planning standpoint. Basically, how breadth requirements work is that the university will require you to take a few courses that extend beyond the subject areas of the programs that you are in. So for example, if you choose to do something in life science, the majority of your courses and certainly your degree will be related to those life science programs or those courses. But in order for you to have a well-rounded experience as a student, to have a robust kind of level of education, we also want you to take maybe a course somewhere in the humanities, right? So language, culture, history, sociology, one of those subjects, or we might ask you to do something in the arts as well. So these requirements are not meant to be intimidating, right? Even though it's out of your maybe comfort zone, it actually inspires you to explore a little bit and complete those breadth requirements as a part of your degree. I'm curious, Sierra, I know from your perspective, like you're in forensic science, but are there other courses you've taken that are existing outside of that you've enjoyed and can speak to?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not finished completing my breath requirements yet, but so one of the courses I took to meet the humanities requirement was actually philosophy, and I took that last semester. It was pretty interesting just because we talked about a lot of stuff that I just never really thought about before. So I would definitely recommend doing philosophy if you like a lot of reading, like writing essays, really just speaking from your mind. So that's just one of the classes that I've taken so far to meet my breath requirements.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah, it's funny. I know people that have taken a breadth requirement, realize they love that area, and completely change their major. And so sometimes those things happen, and so we want to keep our options open. But great question. Thanks, Monica. We will go to the next one here. So Ferris in Motion asks, how does U of T's exchange program work, specifically for the commerce program? This is a great question, Ferris. So thank you. I would say a lot more information can be found on exchange programs when you're talking about study abroad, with the Center for International, like our IEC, which is basically our International Education Center. And perhaps Mina can put the link in the chat for us so that you can explore kind of how those international exchanges occur. And again, those are available for students to explore. If Commerce does have a program, then you can certainly learn more. They would be your go-to for kind of more in-depth answers related to that. But yes, UTM has tons of really cool study abroad and exchange opportunities. And so, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Mina, for that. Yeah, no. Let's move on, but thank you to Peace asks a good question. What does the program of life science consist of, or life sciences consist of? That's really good. That's a good question. The answer is a lot. There's lots of things that fall under life sciences. Including things like forensic science, including things like what I did in psychology, which is what I studied here when I was an undergrad. Your best point of reference piece would be our academic calendar, right? Because that outlines courses that are related to life sciences, but life science exists as an admission category. So as you would have noticed if you've applied to UTM, it's a general area that has similar pre-requirements. So programs that are coupled together that have the same requirements to get in. So that's an admission category. Life science is an example of that. Within that, of course, as you allude to, there are lots of different programs. So your best bet is to either look up, I'm going to pull it up if I have it here. Let's see, there should be like a view book or a bulletin that you can access. I can put that in the chat later. But basically, that has all the programs listed under life science. You can Google UTM program plans that also give you a little bit more information on the specifics of each program. And of course, check out our academic calendar, and you'll get a lot more information there. So thank you for the question. I'm just going to move on to the next one here. Are there any actual on-campus jobs that students can work at? Varud, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Varud asks, so Sierra, since you are campus staff or student staff, I'm going to let you take that question. So are there any actual on-campus jobs that students can work at?
Yeah, so there are a lot. We have a website called the CLNX. So once you become a student, you could log into that website and you could kind of choose what jobs or like what types of jobs you prefer. So we have casual jobs, which are like contract jobs. We have work study, we have volunteer positions. So, and then the website also offers off-campus jobs if you're interested in that, like in different campuses. So the job that I have right now is a work study. So as I mentioned before, you kind of work when you don't have class. So typically, for instance, like me, I work Mondays and Tuesdays because that's when I have the least amount of classes. And yeah, so it kind of just goes along with your class schedule and you could kind of tailor it to how you would like it. Um, and yeah, you get paid. It's every 2 weeks, and most work study jobs work like that. So if that's the type of job that you're interested in, definitely I recommend applying on the CLNX. Or if you would prefer a contract job, we have casual jobs, and then off-campus jobs. If you, for instance, you live downtown, sorry, and you would like to work at the St. George campus, you could always apply to the St. George campus if they have jobs. So yeah, we have like a lot of jobs that are available. I can't really list off any because it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
So you would have to kind of go through the website and just pick and choose what you like.
Well said. Well said. Thanks, Sierra. Yeah, no, you covered it. So all the best if you do come to campus and have opportunities to work with us. That's always a rewarding experience. Diana here asks a wonderful question, which I believe was actually addressed in the chat, but for the sake of us all benefiting from this insight, I'm happy to address it here. So if you have received an entry scholarship, first of all, congratulations. Wonderful, amazing. But kind of what are the conditions to ensure that you can keep that scholarship, right? So can we lose it? Specifically, Diana asks, can we lose it if our grades drop below the scholarship eligibility average? And B, will it increase if our grades do? Two excellent questions. The first point I would encourage you to read in detail is the conditions outlined in your offer letter and in your offer of scholarship, because those are going to be kind of the things that we are looking at that you maintain in order for you to get that money or scholarship upon admission, or rather upon starting your studies here. Right, so make sure that you review that. That will be available in your offer letter and on Join, so you can check both of those. In terms of it decreasing, right, you can lose it if you don't meet those conditions, so just be wary of that. And in terms of it increasing, so scholarships will not increase. They are based off of the grades that you have upon kind of application or review. So when we review your application and we see, oh, you've maintained this average, we feel comfortable giving you the scholarship, we will not reassess it for a later time if your grades do go up, right? But still stay motivated, continue to finish strong, continue to maintain those averages so that you do get that reward at the end. A great question. I'm going to move, just with the interest of time, a little bit quicker. Again, Diana says, is the theater open for clubs to use, or is it exclusively for drama students? It's a good question. I imagine that it might be. I know it's certainly open for like productions. So as a student, you can come and watch shows and really see things live. I love the theater and I've been to a couple of them. So definitely it is open to be viewed. But in terms of clubs, that might be something that you would explore through the actual theater. And so you might have to reach out to the department or student union that might have more information on the logistics of those clubs and booking that space. Anything to add on that, Sierra? I know that you were in clubs and you're in clubs. Any info?
So like for renting rooms for clubs, we would typically go on like the school's like library website and then rent out like the rooms in IB or like study rooms to host events. So that's what that would work. But specifically, or like you contact the UTMSU if you want to like rent out rooms within the student center. But specifically theater, since we have two. We have one in CCT and we have one that's kind of close to Deerfield Hall. The one that's close to Deerfield Hall, that's like open to the public. So I'm not sure if you could go in those for clubs. Again, like Tiara said, you might just have to contact the theater themselves. But yeah, I think you'd have to contact them themselves, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for your question. And then this is not so much as a question, but a comment from Rude. Sierra and Tiara, yin and yang. I said it at the beginning. It's a dynamic duo. It works. Such a complimentary names. And thank you so much. Thank you for that very kind comment. And we are so glad that you could join us, and certainly so grateful for all of the amazing questions and engagement. So right back at all of you in the chat. There's a good question here from Monica again, asking about specifics when it comes to courses and physics and things like that. With planning for that, as a general insight to anyone watching, it's best to connect with our office directly. So if you do have specific questions about courses you're planning to take or have taken, it's best to call our office, and information will be shared at the end as well. You can check online for that. here we go. So Nadine says, can we take programs from a different campus at UTM? I think you mean within U of T. Like I would like to study near and Middle Eastern Studies as a minor or double major, but it is only available at St. George. Can I still study it? Excellent question. So both your majors, minors, or specialists, right, your subjects, like your programs, right, your subject programs or areas of study would need to be all within the same campus, right? And so if you are pursuing a program, you would have to make sure that those two programs are in the same campus and at your home campus. Now, there are opportunities. You can take up to 5 courses really across the 3 campuses. So if you're interested in a particular course, maybe not doing a minor or a major or a specialist, but a particular course that fulfills a minor, specialist, or major requirement at UTM, but that course is downtown or at the Scarborough campus, by all means you can take it. We have a lot of faculty that are cross-appointed, meaning that they teach at different campuses. So to answer the question, majors, minor, specialists, it would be in that specific campus, but you can take courses in other campuses. But great question. Thank you. And then there's a couple questions here about psychology. Again, if you would like to connect with us, there's some more resources to do so, to talk more one-on-one about psych and what that looks like. But for the psychology programs, what is the difference between a BSc program and a BA program? The major difference is that one is a science, right? And one is an arts. So typically psychology falls under the sciences at all 3 of our campuses. And so the majority of the courses you'll be taking require you to have a science background. And that is why we typically will require that you have, biology or chemistry or calculus or advanced functions or some sort of math that can speak to that. And then a BA is a Bachelor of Arts, which some psychology programs across Canada do apply to, but I believe the majority of our campuses and our programs that relate to psych are science programs. A great question, Gerners. Thank you. I think we're good in terms of questions. So there's one here. How does the co-op work if you're doing a program with that? It's a good question. So there are lots of co-op and internship opportunities. We are looking to have even more in the near future. But these are opportunities that you would apply to in your second year. So again, keep your eyes open within your program, those co-op opportunities. More information can be found if you, Google UTM co-op internship programs. They're associated obviously with an academic department. You would apply, you would complete those co-op hours, and then that would be alongside your studies as well. So that's kind of how it works. And yeah, I think Mina so thank you for the question. Just making sure that we've covered everything here. So Christina asks about switching campuses after a year. You can switch campuses if you find that one of the out of the 3 doesn't work for you. That would be called an internal transfer. You would just ensure that the programs that you're switching into do accept transfers from other campuses, even within the university. And you can apply for an internal transfer, complete documentation and paperwork for that, and start that process. So hope that answers your question there, Christina. Thank you. I think we're pretty much good. So I am basically going to end it here, folks. Thank you so much to Sierra, of course, for taking us on this amazing tour and giving us all this insider information. Also, shout outs to Mina for holding it down in the chat. But before I go, I'm going to officially sign off. I'm going to bring your attention to a couple of important deadlines and dates. Some really quick announcements. So the application date for the University of Toronto Mississauga application has been extended to February 18th. And so we encourage you, if our campus, our beautiful campus, resonated with you, if you're excited to apply, there's still time, so you can go ahead and apply either through the University of Toronto website, and so through their portal for application, or through OUAC. And yeah, so that applies. If you have applied and you're looking to be on campus for residence, or you're unsure, the residence guarantee for all first years is March 31st. So regardless of whether you've decided or not, we encourage you to fill out that form so that we can save your spot should you need it, because all first years at UTM do have a guarantee of residence. A couple main events that are coming up. There's our amazing March open house, which is happening on Sunday, March 30th from 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Here on campus. So if Sierra's tour gave you a really cool inspiration to actually come and see us in person, you're more than welcome to do that on our March open house day, and you'll get to meet with all these amazing academic departments and resources, and you might even see us around, so there's a bonus right there. And what else can I share with you before we end? Of course, if you do have any other questions, you can always connect with us through our website, which is on the screen now. You can send us any questions to our email or call us, right? So we have an active phone line that the hours are posted online, so you can connect and ask those questions. So with that, folks, just checking the chat. Thank you again to Mina for sharing those important deadlines and future events. I think we are almost at time. We can take maybe any last comments or sentiments from Sierra. But again, thank you so much. Oh, are there tours on March break? That's a really good question. I believe there are lots of really cool tours. So tours will be leaving kind of on an ongoing basis throughout the day. So if you miss one, you can just wait for a little bit and catch the next one. So yes, there are lots of tours, and we're excited to share our campus with you. All right, folks, I think we're at time. Yes, actual in-person tours. Yeah, I know. And so one last question, Monica, on scholarships. It's a good question. I would encourage you to call our office if you don't mind, just because those specifics in terms of grades might be something we can address one-on-one. All right, folks, I think that's the end. Thank you again for your amazing engagement. This is tremendous. All your questions, for attending, for staying for the full hour, for Sierra and Mina for joining us. And we are super excited and wish you all the very best in your application, in your admissions, and in your future studies at UTM. So thanks, everyone. We will see you very soon. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye.